Welcome to He Did This to Me, the sports podcast from a father and son who happen to be mostly optimistic Knicks, Mets, and Jets fans. My name is Nick, aka Goody, and with me is my old man, aka the big guy, Noel. And just like his name, all we do is win. Let's get to the show. It's time to begin. No matter where you're checking us out, please subscribe, follow, and like our channel. It helps us out and would be much appreciated. Also, we work around the Knicks and Mets schedules, so hit that notification button so you can catch the weekly episode whenever they drop. As always, appreciate the love. Last Sunday, the Knicks faced the surging Cavaliers. The Cavaliers were down one Donovan Mitchell. 47 seconds into the game, Brunson goes up for a jump shot, flails in midair, comes down awkwardly. He then tries to get up and walk and seems as if he doesn't have control of that leg. All of Knicks Nation collectively gasped at that moment. The initial eye test, it looked as if there was no contact, which obviously is very scary. When a guy has a no contact injury like that, you think the worst. I see what I think is no contact. I see the leg not working underneath him as he gets up and he tries to put it down. I immediately think of Aaron Rodgers. My brain immediately goes to Sugar, then Rodgers, now this, and Brunson's out for the season. It's over. I'm thinking it's a tendon issue, probably patella tendon. That's totally ruptured. He can't use his leg. And then a little bit of a sigh of relief when throughout the game, you get a different angle, especially the angle from the Cleveland broadcast that shows that Okoro did hit his knee as he went up. So now it's not no contact. I saw a Twitter doctor come out there and say, hey, this could be some sort of nerve thing. And that's why, his leg wasn't working underneath him. Should be days to a week, but, not something catastrophic. Then we find out after the game, knee contusion. Whenever the Knicks give an injury update, you got to kind of be a little bit weary of what it all actually means. But in the subsequent days, we found out just a knee contusion. He, had an x-ray that night, had an MRI the next day. Everything's fine. He's looking like he'll be back in short order. My guess is that he'll be back on Friday because he's not going to let you come to the Garden and, not get a chance to see him. But the Knicks did go on in that game to pull out a gutty win. 107-98 against the Cavs. Yes, they were down Donovan Mitchell. We were down 4 of our starters, so I don't want to hear anything about that. Great gutty win. We'll talk about some of the performances in that. But then they did follow that up with a loss to the Trae Youngless Hawks, 116-100 on Tuesday night. Talk to me about how you were feeling, when Brunson first went down, how you felt after that gritty win, and just how you were feeling about the Knicks, in general right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when Brunson went down, of course, as I texted you, not good. I was stressed. I wasn't ready to press the panic button and, pull for the parachute just yet. Just
I was
I know, but that's your nature. That's not my nature.
That's true.
So, I felt a little nervous, but then I was loving to see the Knicks come out with a gutty win that night. I thought they played really well. As I always say, I think that this guy Tibbs has built a culture that makes us play hard every minute of every game. And I think that's a positive. I know a lot of people have negative things to say about it. I think it's definitely an overall positive. Yeah, like I said, great game that night, great win. Tough loss the other night against Atlanta.
Hawks.
Atlanta, and again, like I always say, every NBA team, they get paid too. These guys are professionals. When you let these people get hot and start smoking, it's hard to shut them down. And, those guys got going. We came back. But the other part about it is, Nick, is that we're down so many of our frontline players that when you play second-tier guys as much as we are, the chinks in the armor start to show. We start to see why these guys aren't frontline guys. Now, if we're playing them 12 to 20 minutes a game, they're great. But when you're asking these guys to consistently play 25, 30 minutes a game, you're going to have some games where they're just not going to be there. And you're not going to have the all-star guy to pick it up by the pass or by the shot. So I think that's where we're at now. I do hope Brunson makes it back on Friday. Obviously, as you said, I'll be there. So, fingers crossed. And, we keep moving forward. That's all we can do.
Yeah, as I told you before, I know that you said watch out for Cleveland. It's official. I'm not scared of them in the slightest. I think that we wax them in any series. We're tougher than them. They're bigs who in today's NBA are a big front line and have a hard time. A lot of teams have a hard time dealing with them, both protecting the paint and what they can do offensively. We totally almost neutralize those guys. Your guy Mobley, at one point I saw him try to back down Josh Hart, and Josh Hart wouldn't move. He couldn't even move Josh Hart. And Josh Hart is 6'4" on a good day, maybe more like 6'3", and this guy Mobley had nothing to do with it. And then Mobley also got put on straight skates by your boy Deuce. We'll talk a little bit more about Deuce and his performance. I do want to just take a second and give Josh Hart some love. He's been doing it all, especially in the absence of, like you said, some of our more frontline guys. He's played fantastic. During the All-Star break, he did not go hang out and do nothing. He worked on his jumper. He specifically broke down his forearm. I've heard that he's really working on getting his elbow in. And the three, not only is it going in, which obviously we love the results, but the looks of it are better. He's more confident. The trajectory of the shot is just much better. And I'm just very, very, happy with him. People who have criticized him and his contract, you got to keep that over there. I don't want to hear any of that noise because Josh Hart is such a valuable player. He's been valuable statistically recently, but even if he's not, filling up the box score, he's a guy that just he's one of those guys who's like the heart of the team. It's something about when you put that number
Absolutely.
3 on, all of a sudden, you start to become a little bit Starksish, and I couldn't be happier to have that guy on my squad.
No, Josh Hart is fantastic. I mean, how much can you say about the guy? The guy plays hard every minute, and he does a lot of your intangibles. Sometimes he drives me a little crazy, but not very often.
What about him drives you crazy?
I mean, sometimes he just thinks they're a little boneheaded, but it's out of effort. It's always out of effort, So I don't get too angry with him much at all. As far as Cleveland, I do think we're better than Cleveland. I do think we can beat Cleveland, but I do think Cleveland is a little more dangerous than you're giving them credit for. Did you see what they did last night in Boston? I mean, they're a little more dangerous. That guy Garland, I will tell you, that game, that guy was driving me crazy because I felt like he was killing us. But then I look up, I thought he had a lot more than 19 points at one point when I looked up. I thought the guy ended up with like 30 and nothing like that.
No, that's that Deuce effect. It's hard to get 30 when you got Deuce on you all
game. Right.
The thing is that I think Cleveland is a good team. I just don't think they want any part of us in particular. I think that
they don't match up well with us.
Yes, and we
at full strength.
At full strength, and I mean, well, even not at full strength, they don't match up well against us. As we saw on Sunday, just because I think that we have bigs that neutralize theirs, and when it comes to their guards, it's like none of them are elite shooters except for Donovan Mitchell when he's on the floor. He's a pretty good shooter and he's got unlimited range. But the other guys, they're not elite shooters, and they're the type of guys that I think once you get up, if they're playing like some real free, loosey-goosey ball, then they can kind of get off. But once we get up in them, pause. They're not ready for that, man. And I just think that I would love to see them in the playoffs. I think it's a gentleman's sweep at the longest. And I think that Donovan Mitchell, part of him is just sitting over there wishing that he was wearing orange and blue. And I loved when Josh Hart hit that sidestep 3 to pretty much ice the game and looked over at Donovan Mitchell and popped his chain. He said he looked at it and said, "Ooh, that's nice." I love that. But I can tell you this: if I was a Cavs fan, I would hate that so much, and I would be like, "Yo, somebody has to not allow him to do that." Okay. I also
but nobody knew he was going to do it. Nobody could stop it. It was in a moment.
But as soon as he puts his hand like that, if I'm Donovan Mitchell, I'm smacking his hand away at the very least.
Yeah, he could have done that. But
smacking his hand away at the very least.
They're too friendly. They're all friendly like that.
I know.
It was a nice chain.
It wasn't
not something I would wear, but it was nice. It was nice on him.
Yeah, the chain was all right. To be honest with you, I think it was like some like black. It was like some.
No, no, it looked like pearls and diamonds, but like
Oh,
a
okay.
men's
Yeah, I don't even know what it
version.
looked like.
Again, not something I would wear, but it was eye-catching. I noticed it earlier in the game when they showed Mitch.
Yeah, missed me with that pearl necklace. But yeah, nah, man, I just thought that was super cool. I did see some Cavs fans online screaming that it should have been a technical. Listen,
Oh,
I
that's
think it'd be
silly.
absurd to say that, but I've seen refs call technicals for less. So,
True, true,
in
true.
the
Be
right
careful with
moment,
that.
yeah, be careful with that. Be careful with that. And if they get after Josh Hart, I mean, that guy got to delay a game for his shirt not being tucked in, a
Right,
couple weeks
right.
ago, which
And
was
let's face it, if somebody had done that to a Knicks player, there would definitely be Knicks fans screaming that should have been attacked.
sure.
1,000%.
Sure. I wouldn't say it should be a tech. I would say something like,
No.
if that was the Knicks, it probably would have been a tech, but I can't say that now because, we have Exhibit A. But no, yes. Once again, shout to Josh Hart. Your boy Deuce. He once Brunson gets hurt, he gets inserted and does not come out of the game
No.
and plays a fantastic game, great defense, like we were talking about before on this guy Okoro, and and Garland. He was switching off. He was playing good defense on both of them, and then
Hmm.
the things that I've been begging for him to do, the handling of the ball, the getting all the way to the rim and finishing, starting to see some of those things happen with a little bit more regularity. I mean, that move that he put on Mobley that just straight
Hmm.
up had your boy slipping and sliding and touching hardwood with his hands as Deuce went to it was the perfect in and out. I showed it to my son a couple times like this right here. You set him up with a crossover a couple times, you hit him with this, and this is the result. And it was a fantastic move. Got oohs and ahs from the entire Knicks bench. And you're seeing Deuce just start to mature. He's getting more confident. He's been hitting that three with regularity since he's gotten into a slightly more prominent spot in the rotation, shooting at 40%. He's been averaging about 20 minutes a game since all the trades went down. Obviously, when Brunson's not around, he's going to play a whole lot more, and he seems equipped to do it. I heard him say after the game, they asked him about the minutes he played, and he said, that's just to me, that just means that coach has faith in me, and that means the world to me. So love that out of Deuce. Love what I'm seeing out of him. Hopefully he continues. I know he's your guy. Go ahead. You can go ahead and tell us how excited you are and how
No,
you
I
feel.
mean, look, I think he's just doing what I think he can do. And he's a good role player for us. Now, listen, I felt like the game against Atlanta, he didn't play so great. It's a perfect example of a guy that has a great game, but he's not a frontline guy just yet. May never be. But when you put him out there too much, things start to get a little shaky. But he came up big that game. And what I also loved is when they interviewed him after the game and they were talking about how many minutes he played. And he said, listen, this is why I work in the summer. I'm fresh right now. I'm ready to go.
Let's
He was
go.
ready to go more. Let's go. Come on, man. Give me that guy all day. His attitude, the way he goes hard out there, his defense, fantastic. I think the offense is just more of a confidence thing with him. As soon as he feels confident that he's not going to get stripped, he starts doing wild stuff, like he's in the G League again,
Right.
so let's see more of that. I mean, hopefully we don't need too much, but it's good to know we have that.
Yeah. At this point, I think we do need him a little bit more because as we've said before, he's got to take all of Alec Burks' minutes. Alec Burks continues to suck. I'm sorry, but he's just, I don't know what's going on with this guy, but he has not looked good since coming over on the trade. Deuce is way more valuable than him. He's way better at hitting an open shot. Alec Burks is setting records for his futility as far as field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and free throw percentage since he came to the Knicks. And that's after he was having the best shooting first, the few months of his career in one season when he was over in Detroit. So it's just a perfect example of how the lights get a little bit brighter when you're playing on a team that's in contention and also when you're playing in the world's most famous arena. And for some reason, it looks like thus far, Alec Burks has not been able to do that. You would think that he would revert to the numbers that are on the back of his, card, as you always say. Well, I ain't seeing it. It's not happening so far, and I need it to happen, Burks. You're killing me, man. It seems like his only offensive move is the dribble, dribble, pull up and shoot a contested shot, and it's on the B line and clanks off the rim, and they are running down the other way, and he's either getting dunked on or blown by on the reg.
I don't want to give up on Alex Burks, but I get how you say there's not a lot of time left. Listen, man, his minutes are in peril at this point, especially with Shake Milton coming into the mix.
What do you think of that signing with Shake?
I mean, what's wrong with it?
Right.
There can't be anything wrong with it.
No
Shake
downside.
Milton's a proven player. There's no downside. Somebody's going to get nailed to that bench. Somebody's going to get Fournier.
Between those three, somebody's.
Well, it's not going to be Deuce. Deuce is going to get some minutes somewhere. He's too valuable defensively, Nick. None of those guys can even come close to him defensively.
Right.
So Deuce is going to get on the court for his defense. And the fact that he can add a little scoring, come on, man. No, So now Shake, I think Shake's going to get a real shot at taking those minutes. And I don't think, Shake's not going to miss as shots like Alec Burks.
Nope.
Shake's going to make shots.
Yep.
Is he going to work hard enough or hustle enough defensively? Now, I read a good article about him today saying he loves coaches like Tibbs who drive you, and he went to the one shoot around, and he could tell Tibbs was a guy that pushes the guys really hard, even in practice, but he was making jokes too. So he likes Tibbs at least for now. I think Alec Burks may be the odd man out, but Nick, you never know, man. I can definitely see now an injury or something, and Alec Burks comes in, and that, like you said, has that great quarter for us somewhere. I think he's got it in him. I'm not totally ready to give up on Burks right now, but he may be the odd man.
I've totally given up. You spoke about Tom Thibodeau.
Love Burks.
Listen. I was asking to get him at the trade deadline. Yes. No doubt. All that. Sure. But
it's been like 9 games, Nick. 9 or 10 games he's played.
I know, but he's been so bad, man. I mean, he's been so bad. Okay, compare him to Bogey. Bogey hasn't been as advertised. He hasn't been the player that I'd like. I'd like to see some more out of him. Bogey is a good nickname for him because he hasn't been up to par. But when it comes to Alec Burks, at least Bogey's giving me some flashes. Burks is giving me nothing. Burks, I can think of I feel like I can remember in my brain right now every shot that Burks has hit since he's been on the Knicks thus far because it's so little and so few and far between. Come on, man. We're speaking about real quick about Thibodeau. His contract is up next year. I think it's time to go ahead and extend him right now. Let's go.
They're going to extend him in the offseason, I would think, because Rose and those guys are all up too.
Oh, right.
Front office is up too. So, somebody's going to talk. Depending on how this season ends, they're all going to do something in the offseason. Dolan's going to tighten them all up.
I'm at the point now where I don't care how the season ends. I want to just bring them all back. I mean, come on.
1,000%. I mean, and speaking of Tibbs, did I or did I not tell you? And I don't know if you read this, but I've read this online with some fool saying, blaming Brunson's injury on Tibbs. You didn't read that anywhere? Yeah,
no,
you read some fools. And when I said that to you, you said it was 47 seconds in the game. I said exactly. But somebody's going to say, oh, this is Tibbs' fault for playing him too much all season. Come on, stop it. That's just so lazy, and I'm sorry, it's stupid.
It's stupid. And it's some of it is Knicks for clicks. I know there's certain people that I know on Twitter that it's like, okay, you're just going to say whatever is the most inflammatory thing that's going to get people commenting and, interacting with your post. Now, some of it is.
But why, Nick? Why do they do that? Because they like interaction? There's no actual personal gain, is there?
Well, I think that you're looking at this from the perspective of a 60-year-old guy and not from a young person who, even if they are not in the content creation business, getting interaction with a post, there's dopamine. There's studies that they've done, the certain amount of likes and stuff like that, you get a dopamine burst from that. There's certain, that's a thing.
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
Sorry, young folks.
Listen, I can't say that I'm totally, that I don't ever experience that myself. I mean, when we put something out and it gets a bunch of views and stuff like that, I enjoy it. It gives me a certain feeling. So some people, when it comes to even just their personal posts, when it comes to, the posts that they make of pictures with their family or whatever like that, like if they don't get a certain amount of likes, they feel some type of way. That's not me, but I know that that definitely exists. And so I think that part of it is that people just like to get a rise out of others and they like to get people, get people talking. And some of it is, they're some sort of content creator. So therefore the interaction and the engagement really means something to them. And some of it is just pure stupidity, like you said. It's just people with, small IQs and even smaller basketball IQ, talking that nonsense. And as we've said before, Derrick Rose, who is the poster boy for the Tibbs, running guys into the ground, as they say. Well, guess what? He follows Tibbs wherever he goes. But then you have some people, even in the media, like Bob Myers, who after the game says, and Deuce plays this guy. Well, he plays 37 minutes, and he says, "Yeah, well, that's Tibbs." It's like, yo, what did you want Tibbs to do? What did you
I don't
who was
know.
supposed to,
Put Charlie Brown in the game.
I
What?
mean, come on, man.
The guy's name is literally Charlie Brown.
I know. We're out here trying to get a dub, and this is a young kid who, like we said, is saying after the game, "I'm fresh right now." There's no reason to what. I guess if something would have happened to Deuce, then people would say that Tibbs played him too much. It's just, come on,
Come
man.
on.
I'm over it.
Come
It's
on.
enough.
Come on.
And I sometimes do criticize Tibbs' rotations. Sometimes, like that, that game where he left the entire five in for the entire third quarter. I didn't think that was a good idea, specifically for how it set us up for the rest of the game. And there's definitely times at the end of games where I'm screaming, "Get them out of the game, Tibbs." I'm not saying that he's perfect at it, but we
No.
can't act like, a guy getting low bridged and falling and dislocating his shoulder, or a guy getting kneed in the knee as he goes up for a jump shot, like we said, less than a minute into the game, or a guy having some loose bones in his elbow, probably before he even played on the Knicks. We can't blame those things on Tibbs. All right. So at the end of the day, like you said, lazy narrative. And we've talked about it enough. Your boy Ragu coming back to earth a little bit. A little bit, that shooting percentage is definitely dipped here in this last week plus. And the one thing I love about him is it doesn't affect the rest of his game. He still
Mm-hmm.
plays a great floor game. He still, plays very good defense, very active in the passing lanes, but he's fallen off a little bit. He's another guy, like you said before, you can get a good stretch out of him, but he's not going to be a guy who averages over 20 points a game for an entire season. He's just not. He's never done that before.
Not when
And
he's shooting that much.
right.
You know what I'm saying, Nick? In the last month, he's been shooting so much more. When we got all our guys there, that makes him more valuable.
Sure.
He's being overtaxed now, and we need too much from him to survive. And it's tough, man. Him and Josh Hart aren't always going to have a great game, but I think Ragu, I'm not worried about at all.
One thing that I did like to see, so when Brunson got hurt, when they said that Brunson's dad, that Rick Brunson came back to the bench
Mm-hmm.
soon after, that made me feel good because I'm like, yo, if this
Oh
dude
yeah,
had like some like ruptured tendon or something like that, and it's his son,
right,
they're probably back there crying together. You know what I mean?
right,
Like,
right.
so the fact that he came back to the bench, that made me feel good. And one thing that I thought was really cool, I follow Brunson's aunt on Twitter. She's fairly active on Twitter, and she, as soon as the injury happened, she said, "Watch DiVincenzo and Josh Hart. They're about to step up, and we're about to get this dub. They're going to step up for their guy." I thought that was pretty cool. That she came out and she said that, and also, happy birthday, Josh Hart. Today, the 6th, is
Yeah,
Josh Hart's birthday.
that's right. That's right. I did see that. Yeah, Brunson. Another thing that I read and makes perfect sense to me. A comment that I read someone make. Rick Brunson sits right there on the bench. If Tibbs was killing his son, you think he would just sit there and just be like, "Oh, okay, great, this is great. Come on, man." You know what I'm saying? And don't tell me, "Oh, he needs the job." This dude ain't. This dude's not short on money for anything, of course, in his life. Please, again, it makes the narrative silly. But anyway, yeah, I'm glad to know that his auntie is as active as she is on Twitter on his behalf. And the fact that, like you said, that his dad was willing to come back out after the injury shows you that it's probably not that serious, because, like you said, it would have been catastrophic. He'd be back there with him commiserating.
Absolutely. I got to point this out. So I just said happy birthday to Josh Hart. And, you're like, oh, yeah, happy birthday, Josh Hart. Earlier in the season, when we did a pod and it happened to be Julius's birthday, I said, happy birthday, Julius. And you looked at me like
Oh, because you're a
what?
Julius guy. No, but part of the reason I said, oh yeah, happy birthday, Josh, because I had read that earlier myself. I read that earlier, and I said to myself, I need to mention that to Nick, but I actually forgot to mention it until you just brought it up. So that's
Okay.
relax. I like Julius. Relax.
Well, listen, everybody likes him now. Everybody likes him and
I
appreciates him
said to
now.
you from the start of the year, I said Julius has turned a corner, and I like what he's doing. Now, was I still
Yeah.
critical when he would high dribble sometimes? Yes. But otherwise, I thought he was playing a lot better this year, and his injury was most unfortunate for our team and our organization.
Yeah. So next three games are huge.
Mm.
The Knicks have fallen down to fifth. We have the same record as the Orlando Magic, who we play
Mm.
on Friday, but they have the tiebreaker and will remain having the tiebreaker against us because they've already beaten us 3 of the 4 games. This game is, counts as 2 basically in this situation as far as the standings go. So that's very, very important this coming Friday. Like we said, really hope that Brunson is going to be able to play in that game. And then the next 2 games are against the Sixers, a home and home on Sunday and Tuesday.
Mm.
And the Sixers are currently only a half a game back of us.
Mm.
So, these next few games, the Heat are in between. They are no, the Heat are a half game back and the Sixers there. They're both 35 and 26. We're 36 and 26, as well as the Magic. So these next 3 games are huge for us overall standings. You don't want to fall down to that 7th spot, which will, make you be in the play-in. We clearly want to avoid that. I do like the fact that Julius, OG, and
Mitch.
Mitch are all traveling with the team. I think that's
Mm.
a definitely something that's very clear that we're trying to gear them up. Julius has been taking some contact via like some pads in practice. I read that
Mm.
as well. So they seem to be on the fast track to get back. And with the Knicks, we won't know until like right before it's supposed to happen. That's
Mm-hmm.
just how we do business. And these next 3 games, they're going to be big. Philly, even without Embiid, has found a way to scrap out and get some wins. We thought they were going to sink like a stone, and they've been able to kind of, tread water for a little bit. The Pacers are the ones that have fallen off a little bit, but even them,
Mm-hmm.
they're sitting at, 35 and 28, only a game and a half behind us. So it's all real tight, 4 through 8 in the East. And this next stretch, these next 3 games, and then I think we have the Blazers right after that. And this next week or so, like when we reconvene next week, we could either be feeling really good or, be really nervous about how the rest of this season is going to play out.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Obviously, as we discussed, I'm gonna be there Friday, so I'm confident that they're gonna figure out a way to win. And then the Sunday game, I'll actually be in Florida watching that with your sister and her 2 beautiful baby boys and her husband. And so I'll be stressed throughout. The Sixers, like you said, are playing very well against. I heard Maxey missed a game or two. He had some
Mm-hmm.
sort of injury, but they're still playing well. They got a great coach. They got some good players down there. And Orlando, man, we got to figure out a way to beat them. I mean, come on, this is crazy. We got to figure out a way to beat them, especially Friday in the Garden. Come on, like you said, those games are going to be huge. The tightness of the Eastern Conference right now makes it very, very difficult. And I mean, like you said, next week's pod will be interesting because we'll either be smiling or, in the doldrums somewhat because these are 3 tough games, man, so I don't know. We'll see. Roll the ball out there. But I think, what I think happens? I think hopefully Brunson is back and whatnot. I think Best case scenario, this guy Shake comes in and lights it up, man. He comes in, shake and bake right away. Let's go. I just have a feeling that could happen, and that could spur us to a couple wins because those are the guys you said, like, Ragu and even Precious. They need some pressure taken off of them. That's what Brunson does for everybody. He lightens up the pressure on everybody. We need that from Brunson, but we need Shake to come in and give us a little razzmatazz on defense. I'm sorry, on offense.
And I saw Shake in an interview say that the Garden's always been his favorite place to play. And
Everybody says
so
that, though, right?
everybody says that. Well, I think everybody says that when they're on another team. Not everybody
That's
says that
true.
once they're actually on the Knicks. So
That's
that'll
true.
be interesting to see. And hopefully he can give the Garden faithful a reason to lose it and have one of those special nights. We're going to need we're going to need some random big performances by
Mm.
different guys, whether it be Shake, Bogey, somebody. And you mentioned Precious. Man, that guy, he just gets it done. He just gets it done. As we've talked
Yeah,
about,
he
his
does.
finishing is much better than we thought it was. He never does too much. That's one of the things I know about him. He plays within himself. And
Yeah,
I
he
gotta
does.
say this: one of our biggest supporters and super fan of the show, Gary B, admit you are wrong about Precious's offensive game. The guy is not a zero on offense. He may not be some fantastic shooter, but he knows where he's supposed to be. And once he gets around the rim, either hand, scoop shot, going straight up, taps, whatever the case may be, that ball seems to find the bottom of the net more often than not.
I'm consistently amazed by his finishing around the rim. So many shots I see him attempt, and I don't think they're going in, and they go in. With people right up on him defending him. Yeah, and he hustles, he plays hard, he gets the occasional exciting block shot. He actually blocks more shots than your boy Sims. I
Everybody blocks
mean,
more shots than Sims.
but he's been a find, man. There's no doubt about it. He's been an absolute find for the Knicks, and all praise to Leon on that one for sure.
Moving on to the Mets. The Mets beat the Yankees 5-4 in a spring training game. Your boy Pete, Nimmo, and Lindor all had doubles in the game. The thing that I want to talk about, a guy that I brought up last week, just touch on him real quickly, Tyler McGill. Another very good outing. He's got his spring ERA down to 1.13. He's looking like he will be slotted into that fifth rotation spot with Senga out. Right now, our rotation is looking like Quintana, Severino, Manaya, Hauser, and then McGill. Not, the most flashy names, but we went into last season with the flashy names and we saw how that worked out. I'm starting to feel like, this guy McGill, he's got a new splitter. He's a big, big, healthy fella. He's like 6'7". He was throwing, I think he hit like 96, maybe even 97 on the gun. And I'm thinking that, if this can be one of those guys who he figures something out this year and kind of steps up and goes to the next level, takes advantage of the opportunity, and then we maybe, listen, between the other guys that I mentioned, somebody is either going to shit the bed or get hurt. We know that. That's just the
Right.
law of averages. And so I like to see the depth of a guy like McGill, and I'm hoping that he can have a big season for us.
I like obviously what we've seen out of McGill this spring training. I've always liked McGill, but what, he get injured a little bit last year, right? Off and on, so
Just
that's
injured
been
and just been
unfortunate.
up and down overall performance wise.
Yeah.
He'll show some
Yeah.
flashes sometimes, and then he'll have a few really tough outings. One of his biggest issues is just his ability to throw strikes. Even in that outing against
Yeah.
the Yankees, he goes 3 innings. He had 6 strikeouts, but he still had 2 walks. So, that's the big thing for him is the control. And if he can ever really master that, he's got the stuff.
Yeah. I remember when he first came up, I was really pumped on him and whatnot. And then there's somebody that brought up the fact that he has the same amount of letters in both his names as Jacob deGrom. And both his early starts were like early deGrom. But
Well,
anyway,
it'd have to be Jake. Tyler and Jacob is not the same. Oh, you're just talking about total, like the
no, in
total of
their
the
in
first
their
and last.
names, Tylor, Tylor, Jacob, Jacob, 5 letters each. Dude,
Yeah, you're
man,
right.
there you
You're
got 5 fingers. Okay. So,
right.
wow. Anyway, Monroe High at its best. But no, I hope that he can really, play up to his potential because he does have a lot of potential. And I think we have a lot of good young ball players on the team. It's going to be a very interesting season, Nick. I think it could be, I'm hoping it can be the kind of season we can get behind and really enjoy watching our young guys shine, or it'll be a season that sucks where we're like, these young guys suck. But you heard about Verlander. He's starting the season on the IR.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go back. The Knicks can. I mean, the Mets can never go back to the old guy remedy for 2 years. It doesn't work. Sorry, you can't go that route.
I mean, not 40. You know what I mean? Like
No,
like
no.
old guy like is one thing, but when it's a guy who's, 40, I mean, and we did that with both him and Mad Max, and both of them pitched fairly well, but not great. That first year of Mad Max, he started off the season fantastic and then fell
Right.
off as the year went on. And that's been his MO for the last few years, even going back to when he was on the Dodgers. And that's just obviously his age. And
When
yeah,
is he supposed to come back this year?
I think
Mad
not
Max.
not until like halfway through the season.
Wow. I have to say, this is the other thing. It's so good that the Mets decided to rip the Band-Aid off with that.
And I was
Right
against it in the
now,
moment, but it was the right decision.
it would have been a disaster right now. If they're around and they're both out to start the season, we would be losing our minds.
100%. 100%. Did you see that Russell Wilson got released?
I did. And I think I think that a lot of people want to shit on Russell, but I think Russell Wilson could still be a starter in this league. I really do. I think he can.
100%. I
Right.
mean,
But
just
some people are acting like, yeah, he's done. And it's just stupid. I mean, I think the guy can play.
the guy has become a punching bag.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody kind of associates the word cringe with him. The whole him dating a pop star and then her former flame being, this guy Future who is just I'm not even going to get into what Future is known for, but it's not necessarily the guy that you would want your ex's, baby's father to be. When it comes to, and this is not necessarily how I feel personally, but I think it has something to do with, the way Russ has been covered. There's even been some teams that have played like Future songs during the, warm-ups, which I think is
Ridiculous.
classless. And yeah,
Totally.
ridiculous. And if I was a player on that team and a veteran on that team that was doing that, I would go find who was doing it and be like, turn that shit off. Like, come on, man, have some respect. This guy, this is his wife, somebody he's got a child with.
And
Like, come on.
this is personal bullshit. I mean,
Personal bullshit. Right,
stop.
right, right.
Stop.
And he had the whole Broncos let's ride thing, which like I don't know how, like the Bronco country, let's ride. And they showed him the video came out of him doing a few different takes of that. And it is a very awkward and somewhat cringe-worthy video to watch. But I think that a lot of people would be awkward and cringe-worthy in that scenario. And I don't know
Dude.
how this is like, you just brought this guy in, he's the new franchise quarterback, you freaking 240 something million. And I don't know how the whoever it was in their media team that let that clip get out. Like that needs to be, put somewhere on the production floor and never get out because it just wasn't a good look for him and, therefore not a good look for that team overall. I did find it interesting that the reports are they came to Russell about midway through the season and said, "Hey man, you're owed like I don't know if it was either 32 or 36 million next year or something like that. Like we need to get creative in how we work that." And he was like, and it's guaranteed money. And he's like, "No, you don't go ahead and cash my check." And then they said, "Well, if that's the case, you're going to get benched." If I was a Broncos fan, I'd be very distressed if that's how my organization was running things. Because at that point, remember, there was a point later in the season that they were in the hunt. And I want my team,
Mm-hmm.
if we're in the hunt, to put the best team out there, regardless of any of that other bullshit. And the fact that that was the case, and I totally believe it specifically because Sean Payton is running things, and I think he's just a dick in general. And so I just think that's a bad way to run things. It's a bad look for the organization. And like you said, this guy, Russell Wilson, man, he gets so much disrespect. He made the Pro Bowl 9 out of his first 10 years in the league. We saw early he had that really good defense. And then when the defense wasn't as good, some of it being because they started to pay him and they had to get rid of some of
Mm-hmm.
those guys who were linchpins. But when that happened, they didn't have a great offensive line. And then Russell was able to kind of blossom and become, more of a gunslinger and had some really good years where, he put up good numbers and finished top 5 in the MVP, I think at least once, if not twice. And I just think that this guy gets such a bad rap. And some of it is franchises and fan bases that have been spoiled, or people like you and I with our quarterback history, especially here recently, would say, shit, man, I would do anything for 10 years of this guy in his prime.
Come on, man. The guy's stable. He's not doing bullshit out here. If people want to say he's corny or whatever, I don't care about any of that.
Yeah, my
That's
quarterback can be as corny
my
as
man
he wants to
personal
be.
life is. And I don't care. Listen, I'd much rather a corny person, whether it's my quarterback or anyone I know, than some friggin' wild man out here doing crime and whatnot. So okay, I'm good with that.
Right.
And if you want to look at, saying that Russell Wilson, that the whole thing with Sean Payton, like you said, if I'm the Denver Broncos fan, I'm very annoyed that we're not playing this guy over money when we decide to pay him that money. I'm a fan. I want to see the best product out there. So I'm very annoyed with that. I'm also thinking, I heard somebody say this, that they wish that Russell Wilson had really given it back to Sean Payton when, like, he's yelling at him and disrespecting him on the sideline. And I kind of wish he did too, knowing that if they had this benching conversation with him before that, then he really should have not stood for that, okay? Because he didn't deserve that. I'm sorry. He's been in the league too long. He's done too much in this league. I don't think Sean Payton does that to a lot of other guys. Clearly would never do it to Drew Brees. I just don't think, I don't know. But if he does, he shouldn't. Okay.
Why though?
And
Why do you think why Russell then?
I don't think Russell deserved that. And again, man, I never think, Nick, that you want to emasculate another man there on the field in front of everybody.
But why do you think that he was willing to do that to Wilson when you don't think he would be willing to do it to some other guys?
Maybe it has something to do with the contract situation and all that. I don't know. But I really don't know, Nick. I'm not going to say that I think it's some sort of, racial situation. That's foolishness. He deals with, black and white and whatever color people all the time. I can't believe that he somehow has some angst towards Russell because of his ethnicity. Maybe he doesn't like him. I don't know. Maybe he wanted him out of there because he wants to get his guy in there. But you're telling me you'd rather play Jared Stidham than Russell Wilson?
Come on.
I mean, come on, man. What are we talking about here? It's not even a conversation. The guy wasn't hurt. Play the man. And, I guess, I don't know. I really just don't know.
Potential landing spot for Russ, one that I think works, and I think it just works all the way around and would immediately make this team very dangerous. Pittsburgh.
Yeah, a lot of people talked about that. It works. Other people have talked about, Atlanta, but people have talked about your man in Minnesota for Atlanta.
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, he
bought a home
with
there.
And the offensive coordinator is somebody he's worked with very much before, and his wife is from Atlanta.
Yeah, and so, that was the thing, is that it came out earlier this week that he bought a home there, but then everybody's like, yeah, his wife is from there. People are trying to read the tea leaves. Who knows exactly how that's going to work out?
Knows?
Kirk Cousins is another guy who everybody is always, talking bad about, and he can't see, he's already, moved one teams, and there's always rumors of him leaving Minnesota. And I mean, even people that I know that are Vikings fans, shout out to my boy Pat. He sometimes loves Kirk, sometimes hates Kirk. But I think that, again, he's not that bad. You know what I mean? Like, you could do a whole lot worse. He's pretty good, right? You could do a whole lot worse than Kirk Cousins. And again, man, some people, they don't realize that you got like a few guys who, no matter what the situation is, they're just going to elevate the franchise. There's only a few of those guys. And then you have a few guys, probably a slightly larger number, that they're going to bring the team down. And then the rest of them that are in the middle, they're a product of their environment and what's going on. And I think that, Russell and Kirk Cousins, especially at this point of their career, they are some of those middle tier guys, but they're on the upper end of that middle tier for sure.
Yes, 100%. Both of those guys can elevate you if they have the right things surrounding them. But I think, they're getting in the back end of their careers. I still think Kirk Cousins has a lot left in the tank, So, I think either of those guys I would love to have on my team, obviously if we didn't have Rodgers. But, yeah, either of those guys would be great. But, I wish them both well. I hope they will I think they will play well next season, both of them.
Yeah, you give
They'll
them
be
an
starting.
Yes, I do think they'll be starters next year. There's no way that you can tell me that there's 16 quarterbacks that are better than Russell Wilson right now, or Kirk Cousins. And I'm sorry, 32, better,
32.
32 better than either of those two. And yeah, I just think that going into next season, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. As you know, with the NFL, what we know right now, by the end of the draft, everything could be topsy-turvy and guys could get moved all over the place. So that will be something to watch as we, get into April and get around draft time. Hopefully the Jets give us, something cool to talk about when it comes to the draft. Obviously, we got to rebuild the offensive line. I see mock drafts where we're like taking a receiver in the first round, and
No way.
no way. Has to be a tackle. Has to be a tackle. I don't see how it could not be. I did see that during the combine, there was a lot of guys. For some reason, people kept getting asked about Aaron Rodgers, or they would be asked about like who's their favorite quarterback, and a few guys said Aaron Rodgers, and I saw at least three different of the offensive linemen who were projected to go in the first round get asked what would it be like to block for Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know if that's the New York media doing that, or it's just Aaron Rodgers being one of those guys who's got a Q rating, so people want to ask about him. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I always say I don't know anything about the draft. I follow college football not as closely as I follow the professional sports. And there are sometimes some guys who I'm like, I like this guy, I don't like this guy. But the NFL draft is such a crapshoot. You never know who you're going to get, what you're going to get. I do want to see what happens with Becton, because it doesn't seem like we're going to ask Becton to come back unless it's at a major discount. I'm interested to see if he moves on and how that all works out as well. I did see a rumor about us supposedly wanting to go and get your boy Jamal.
Oh, no way.
But
No way we're going to do that.
I did see after that
I saw you got cut.
I saw he got cut, but I saw the rumor that Jets might be interested, but then I saw a report that said Jets have zero interest, and that is exactly perfect to me and what I want to see, because Jamal Adams, man, he'll deliver the occasional big hit, but he's going to miss. He's going to miss anywhere from 4 to 10 games a season, if not more. And he gets just absolutely burnt barbecue chicken in coverage. And his best days are behind him. That ends up being one of the greatest trades in Jets history. The trade to him for Seattle. We didn't have to pay him all that money, and then we turned those picks into, I think, Tucker and Elijah Vera Tucker and Garrett, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think we did turn that trade into those two picks, and they're fantastic. Elijah Vera Tucker, can you be healthy for me this year, guy? He's so good when he plays, but this is the year for him. It's like with Becton.
He's got to do it.
If he can't give you 13 games plus, you got to start talking about this guy as being injury prone, and you got to start making other plans.
Right. No, this draft will be interesting. I do think we're going to go for a tackle, probably. I've seen some drafts where possibly this guy, Joe Alt, fall to us. That would be amazing. Or the Samoan guy from Oregon. We're going to get an opportunity to get a really good offensive tackle there. So I think that's what we will do. And a lot of these guys, they ask about Aaron Rodgers because they know that we're going to pick a tackle. We're going to pick an offensive lineman, and these guys are figuring to go in the top 10. So, and some people saying we need to get aggressive maybe and try to trade up to get Joe Alt, because there's a lot of things going on with this draft where they say there's a serious amount some people are saying that there could be 4 quarterbacks going in the first 5 picks, and then maybe like a JJ McCarthy slip it in there somehow or something.
I've heard
like
that he could possibly be a top 5 pick.
Yeah, they're saying this guy's blowing it up and, looked really good at the combine. And, I'm always amazed at guys at the combine who just say, guys now have gotten to the point where, like, you can't even weigh me. You can't even weigh me or measure how tall I am. So I'm not exactly sure why you're there. But maybe for interviews. But it's like, wow. I guess you're that confident and whatnot, And then, who was it? Caleb Williams actually said that he would only work out for certain teams because he feels confident that he'll be a top 1 or 2 pick. So why is he working out with these teams that can't be in the top 1 or 2? So I guess I get that, but I don't know. You got to be careful. Be careful with that. we've seen some people in that green room or whatever room sitting there and, a little disappointed when they slip. Careful, you're not that guy, I don't know. We'll see. I'm just excited for the draft. I'm excited for what the Jets can pick up and improve. We obviously need a lot of parts.
Yeah, looking at the at a mock draft right now, they do have one, two. They have three quarterbacks going in the top six. They do have Joe Alt going pick number 7 to the Tennessee Titans, and then they have the Jets getting uh Fashanu out of Penn
Yeah.
State. So yeah, we'll
Mm,
see how it all works out, and we'll see. Even when we see how it works out, hopefully we can have a repeat of a couple years ago where we had that fantastic draft and we got
yeah.
four impact players in the first
One draft.
round and one pick into the second round. So
Hmm.
hopefully that's the case this year. We'll see. Hopefully there's some more Jets to talk about here soon. Last thing I want to talk about, and I think is an interesting question, especially to talk to somebody like yourself who has been on this earth for a little bit of time now, more than half a century, and has also been a big fan of the fight game all these years. Some of my fondest memories growing up as a kid is, me being out with my friends coming home on like a Friday night and you sitting there watching boxing and, you and I sitting there and, watching boxing on a Friday night and, you telling me about the old days and going to movie theaters to see Ali in Brooklyn back in the day. One of the most interesting questions that I've always heard, and this is something that plenty of people have talked about, but I'm interested to hear your take. If we were able to take Mike Tyson in his prime and Muhammad Ali in their primes, how do you think that fight would go? Now, before we get into the semantics of how the fight would go, first I want to talk about how would you define their prime? I've watched I'm pretty sure I've watched all of Tyson's. No, I have. I've watched all of Tyson's fights. I've watched, if not all of, I don't want to just jump out on a limb and say all, but it's close to all of Ali's fights. Great thing about today's world with YouTube, you can find all these fights, and ESPN Plus has almost all the fights there, like in their archive that you can just watch on demand for, I mean, every fight you can think of. And to me, I'll talk about Tyson when I think, and then Ali because I didn't live through it and I've only watched the fights in retrospectively. I'll let you kind of talk about it. But to me, my prime Tyson is '88 Tyson Holmes. That's when that fight in particular, what he ends up doing to Holmes and the some of the it's interesting because for this argument because some of Tyson's motivation for that fight was the fact what Holmes did to Ali, an old
Hmm.
Ali at the end of his career, and so Tyson was very motivated to almost kind of get revenge for his hero. But that is the most just complete Tyson fight that I've seen and just his utter dominance. But talking about those two in their primes, how do you think the fight would go? Who do you think comes out with the belt?
Tyson was a great fighter, very ferocious. Love Tyson.
Oh, hold on.
Love
Sorry. First, who's your peak Ali? What's your peak Ali? What would
peak
you?
Ali. See, that's a tough one because actually Ali's peak years are probably the years where he was banned from boxing after the Vietnam thing. I mean, Ali was great going into that, but I guess I'm gonna have to say like Ali Frazier, one of the early Ali Fraziers. Ali Foreman, the rope-a-dope was fantastic. I mean, come on, man, that guy took shots. And that's where I come to Tyson and I say, Tyson could hit very hard, but listen, and I know a lot of people will freak out when I say this. Tyson didn't fight a lot of great fighters. He fought whoever was there in the day, but Tyson didn't fight. I happened because you told me you were going to talk about this. Just pull up to look at different people that Ali fought, the caliber of fighter. First of all, Leon Spinks. He was pretty damn good, Nick, at the time. He was a tough fighter. George Foreman. Nobody hit like George Foreman, man. You can't tell me Tyson was more ferocious in his style and that peekaboo style and short and all of that. But let me tell you something. If George Foreman hits you, just ask Joe Frazier when he had him skipping across the ring in Jamaica. I mean, this guy, and listen, Joe Frazier, smoking Joe. He was Tyson before Tyson. This guy was a monster. He was wrecking people. Ali took those shots. Ali had that jab, man. And the thing that finally did Tyson in, I realized it was when he was going again. He was, obviously partying too much or whatever. But what
With
did him
Bobby
in was
Brown.
with Bobby Brown. Bobby
Come
Brown's
on,
messed
man.
up a lot of people now. It's his prerogative. Um, um, Tyson with Buster Douglas. If you got a guy, Tyson was a good fighter, Nick, but if you got a guy that can constantly drop that jab, boom, boom, and just drop it on you, let me tell you something.
But that's
George
not Pete
Foreman,
Tyson, though. That's not Pete Tyson,
I
though.
know it's not Pete Tyson, but I thought even at Pete Tyson, if you could keep him off of you for long enough, you could beat him. I think George Foreman might have had a chance of beating Tyson because his jab was so strong for a smaller man. See, where George Foreman ran into trouble is when he fought guys that were as tall as him and had as much reach as him. Because George Foreman wasn't as quick, but he couldn't just keep you off of him by keeping the canned ham right in your face, which is what he would have done to Tyson. You do that to Ali, and at one of those times, Ali is long enough that he's going to boom, 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 hit you in the face 3 times when you got that fist out there. This guy, Tyson, couldn't reach these guys. So I do love Tyson. I love Tyson. I love the second act he's done with his life. Love everything he's doing now. Good for him. Brooklyn guy, love him. I think Ali would win that fight, peak against peak. Yeah, Ali was just, dude, man. It's hard to explain how great he really was. I don't know of any other heavyweight. I would say Ron Lyle. Ron Lyle, another guy that was a wrecking crew. Jimmy Ellis. These guys were tough, man. He fought a lot of tough guys, Nick, that, don't get a lot of write up and whatnot. But back then, that was in the heyday of boxing, man. There's some really good boxing going on back then.
Floyd Patterson? Did he fight? Did
No,
he
no,
fight?
no, 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 no.
No?
Floyd Patterson was before him. And I think Floyd Patterson was mostly light heavy. Floyd Patterson was before me. I didn't see Floyd. I maybe saw him fight once.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Ken Norton. There's another name. Ken
Ken Norton.
Norton.
I remember
Dude,
his
he
son. I
was a
remember his son.
monster.
I remember his son as a
Right.
linebacker for
Yeah,
the
no.
49ers.
He was not as good a linebacker as his dad was a boxer. Ken
Okay.
Norton was a monster, Nick. He was killing people. I mean, crushing people. And he was strong. But Ali, Ali roughed him up. But he broke Ali's jaw, and Ali still beat him.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that story. So I think something to look at when it comes to this potential matchup, which is an interesting way to look at it, and something that I've never heard anybody else talk about when it comes to, this fantasy matchup is, let's say they're same era and they're fighting, like it's a regular prize fight and you have the lead up to the fight. I think the lead up to the fight would be very, very interesting because though they both have very different styles, they both were very intimidating and got into the heads of their opponents in very different ways. Ali did it with a gift of gab and the colorful language. He's rhyming, and as Sonny Liston said, he was crazy. He said, that's the thing that Sonny Liston was so used to intimidating people with just being a quiet, like brooding type, and Ali being a little bit crazy kind of threw Sonny Liston off. But then you have Tyson on the other end, where he would have some crazy shit to say after a fight, but leading up to a fight, he's just I'm a killer, I'm an animal, and you got Cuss is literally hypnotizing him to be exactly that. And he's coming out with black shorts, black boots, no socks, cut off, no type of robe or anything like that. And I think it would be interesting leading up to the fight because Ali is used to being able to get in people's heads. And I'm not sure that he would be able to necessarily get in Mike's head with all the,
No.
verbal gymnastics and the things that he does. And then Mike on the flip side, I could see for the first time because the fact that I also don't think that he would not be able to get into Mike's head, but I don't think he'd be able to rattle Mike. Without him being able to rattle Mike. I think that might kind of make, Ali take a step back. Like I can't even, like he was able to rattle Joe Frazier. He was able to get in his head. The fact that he wasn't able to, that I feel like it would be a very interesting. Who knows? That's so hypothetical. We can't say exactly how it will play out. But I think that's an interesting aspect of this is how both of them would deal with the other because I think both of them excelled in that pre-fight intimidation or mind games, and neither of them ever dealt with somebody as a counterpart quite like the other.
You're bugging. Ali would crush him in that. He would crush him, Nick, because Tyson, Ali would be acting the fool, literally acting the fool the whole time, saying shit to annoy Tyson. Tyson would be getting worked up. They'd have to hold Tyson back. And that would be the best thing in the world for Ali, because Tyson would come shot out of a gun in the first round, and Ali would just use that to his advantage. Ali was way too smart for all of that, man. Ali would not be intimidated by Tyson. You have to know that. I mean, listen, Sonny Liston was an intimidating dude, man. He was that dude in the prison yard. He was an intimidating dude. So was Tyson. But Sonny Liston happened to be an intimidating dude, and he was just as big as Ali. It's not even about being big or not. Ali would not be intimidated by Tyson or his act. And yeah, man, no. Ali would get into Tyson's head. Ali would have gotten in Tyson's head. I think for sure.
I think Tyson goes straight stone face and doesn't, I think I could picture the things that Ali would say. You're like, he's using all these big words, but he don't know what they mean. And just like
I could see Ali stepping at Tyson like in a lead up to the fight, like when Ali like mugging in his face and doing shit like this to him. That shit would get on Tyson's nerve.
Nah, I could see Tyson.
Tyson would lose it.
He would just sit.
Tyson would lose it.
I think I think Tyson goes straight, just Terminator in that instance, and comes out just like ready to kill this guy. And I think that the thing about with Liston is Liston is very, very intimidating. That's always been the story and the persona of that guy. But Tyson was able to get in Liston's head a little bit. I think that I'm sorry. Ali was able to get into Liston's head a little bit. I think that if Tyson now doesn't really show that Ali is bothering him, does that give Ali a little bit of pause? Because he was able to get in everybody's head, right? So if Tyson's able to not really show that effect, I think that maybe your boy Ali starts to feel some type of way. It would just be interesting. Like I said, super hypothetical, who knows? But it would be interesting to see how that lead up to the fight would go. Now, as far as how I think the fight would go, I look at Frazier because Frazier and Tyson do have some similarities in just like their fight style. And right. Frazier is obviously bigger than him. I think Tyson hits harder. And he did drop Ali in that first fight.
Yeah.
And I think that if they fight, Tyson finds a way to get to, I think if the longer the fight goes, the advantage Ali. But I think that Tyson maybe surprises Ali and gets him and puts him down. Maybe Ali can't get back up in that first fight. Now, similar to Frazier, I think if that happens and that's how it plays out and Mike's hand gets raised, I think we then see the rematch where Ali beats Tyson and then Ali then comes and beats him in the grudge match, just like the trilogy against Joe Frazier. Obviously, who knows? But I think that Tyson might be able to get to him. I think that, as you said, that peekaboo style and his ability to not stay on the outside and just get stuck with that jab and his, willingness to kind of take one to get inside, that strong right uppercut that was kind of unorthodox that you don't see a lot of other fighters throw might maybe gives Ali some problems. And Ali had a great chin, but I have never seen anybody take a bunch of shots from Tyson and, continue to stay on their feet.
I'll just throw out one other name, especially for you old heads out there who'll know what I'm talking about. Ernie Shavers. Okay? Ernie Shavers. Look him up. He was a monster, a beast. Okay? And that guy could hit. I don't want to say he hit harder than Tyson, but he hit really hard, man. Really hard. You talked about different people who were around back then. And Ali dispatched him too. I think everything that you're saying is great, and it makes for good fodder. But I think Ali wins that fight. I think Ali wins that fight in 8 rounds or less.
8 or less. Okay.
I do.
Rest in peace to our guy Chris Mortensen. Mort, I grew up on him. He just passed away this past week. He is somebody who, he's such a staple in my childhood, like it being kicked to Mort, especially during football season on ESPN. Since he has passed, there's been so many people talking about, what a great colleague he was, what a great guy he was, both, in front of the camera and off the camera, did a lot for a lot of different people. Rest in peace to Mort. Catch us every week on YouTube or wherever you find your podcast. Please follow, like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification button on all platforms. Really appreciate all the love. We try to stay as current as possible, so episodes will drop on Thursdays or Fridays, depending on the Knicks schedule. You can also catch me on True Knicks Talk postgame live throughout the second half of the season with my guy CPNY, link in bio. And you can find us on all socials at he_did this to me. Love you, big guy.
Love you, kid.